So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Oh, no idea what happened there, but hello, villains. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And something went absolutely crazy there. Couldn't see anything that was going on here in our system, but we're fixed again. There's always little technical gremlins, but we're here with you today, guys, to talk to you about the Liverpool game coming up this Saturday at 3:00. Seems like such a novelty to have a game on a Saturday at 3:00 because and it's a bit nerve wracking as well because we usually do our best work when we've had our tea in the afternoon and then get to play afterwards. But we won't have that opportunity against Liverpool this weekend. As I say, Saturday, 3:00 kickoff. And Paddy is here with me as always. And we're going to try and break it down. We've had no contact with Villa Park. So far, so good. We haven't seen any Twitter rumors going around the place. But looks like Villa will pretty much have the same contingent that they had last weekend against, I've now forgotten who they played last weekend, Fulham against Liverpool. What do you think, Paddy? First of all, I suppose before we go into it, how are you doing? How's your day been?
I'm good, thanks. Good. Nice to be on here, getting a break from that turgid Champions League football. I know you don't agree with me, but there you go.
I do. I don't disagree with you, but like I'm watching. I had Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich on there beforehand, and like I will watch Leon Goretzka and Joshua Kimmich all day long. Just like last night, I watched Toni Kroos all day long. They're just good footballers. I don't know what it is. I just really appreciate a good German midfielder. You know, it's they just play the game the way I like to watch it, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. Neither of those three phenomenal footballers are going to help us out against Liverpool at the weekend. But we do have Liverpool, and I mentioned Toni Kroos yesterday. We could do with him, I suppose, really, because he and his Real Madrid teammates yesterday. I'm not going to say that they showed Liverpool up in midfield, but they certainly gave a blueprint on how to stifle them.
Yeah.
What you think?
Yeah, they're an average. They're a bang average Real Madrid side compared to what they have been over the years. There's a few missing links in there, but they made Liverpool work really hard to get past them. And it pains me to wonder how we'll do the same. But we did it early in the season, and we did have a couple of slip ups, and they did score 2 goals. So we will need to score. We will need to score goals at the weekend. That is the most important thing. We can't sit back and wait like we did for last weekend for 70, 80 minutes to come before we start scoring goals, because we just won't get them against Liverpool. They will be more organised as the game goes on. So we don't have a Toni Kroos, unfortunately. I wish we did. I wish we could push the boat out and buy someone like him, because he's an absolute incredible footballer. And, flicking between the two, I stopped watching Man City when the bloody ridiculous refereeing decision went against them. You see, I just can't get into Champions League football because it just seems so wrong, the stuff that goes on. It's like watching international football. You get international referees doing very silly things, blowing the whistle, and then VAR couldn't check it, all that kind of stuff. When a linesman can't put up his flag, but the referee blows his whistle, it's strange. They just don't do themselves any favours, to be honest. But look, we're here to talk about Liverpool. I watched most of it last night, wasn't impressed, gave me a bit of hope for the weekend, and I'm sure we've just got to think about now what is the lineup to go and get at them, because the midfield is the problem. If we stop the midfield, the ball doesn't get to the forwards. If we stop them playing out wide, the ball doesn't get to the forwards. The 2 centre halves average. The strikers take Diogo Jota out of that. They're not going to score goals.
Don't say they're average, Paddy. They're just out of form.
They're not going to score goals without Jota up there. Mane and Salah, excellent players, but they're not creating goals at the moment.
Yeah, and that's probably a fair thing to say. I watching that game last night, the Madrid game. We mentioned they've got three war horses in there: Casemiro, Toni Kroos, likes of Luka Modric.
Luka
They're
Modric.
all in. They're all like Modric. Like wow, like another great player, a player that's been criminally overlooked in world football for accolades and awards as well, so on. Like 35 years of age, showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah.
One of the bargains, like what did he move to Madrid for? Something like 25 million. I'm open to correction on that, but I don't think like he was ever heralded as like being a massive money signing for Madrid. I know I'm probably going to get like a fee of I don't think it was massive anyway,
I
whatever they
don't think it
paid for him.
was, no. I
What
think
a
his contract
fantastic
was
player.
running out when it happened, yeah.
Yeah, they really preyed on Spurs, and they Daniel Levy, I think, for that one. But without the loving that I suppose I am having for midfielders, I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know, do I have some sort of aphrodisiac for midfielders for my lunch or my dinner or something like that? But I seem to be waxing lyrically about them. It's they gave a good blueprint on how to do it, because like Thiago came on after a relatively short period of time in the game yesterday to try and short things up and try and get things going. But he came on and he didn't do much, and they had Wijnaldum out there, and it just never got clicking for them in midfield at all. But that was because the wily old foxes of Madrid were inside there, and they just made things difficult. They allowed them to move into spaces, and the second they moved into certain spaces, they were there to take the ball and not let them move any further. And I think Villa can do that. I think I've been critical, I suppose, recently. I've been a bit critical of how passive our midfield has been, and that we maybe let and this is what we did at the start of the season. We let the team come onto us until they got maybe 10 yards outside our penalty box. I think that maybe if we can extend that area to 15 to 18 yards outside our penalty box and to kind of set up our block there, maybe that might be more beneficial for us against this Liverpool team, because you mentioned Diego Jota, Salah, Mane. If you give midfielders opportunities to slide balls down between your centre halves and your fullbacks, in that instance, running straight at the defense, you're going to give away penalties. You're going to give away last ditch tackles. I genuinely think that we can hold the team scoreless. We can defend pretty well. We've shown that over the course of the year, this year.
Yeah.
But I just have it in the back of my mind that what we'll do is we'll go and we'll park on the edge of our area and give away a penalty, and that is terrifying me. And it's just a hunch. Yeah. It's an irrational fear that I have. At the weekend, we've actually been doing well. When was the last time we gave away a penalty? Oh, Matty Cash, sorry, against Spurs. Wasn't so long ago. But that was a debatable penalty for me. But I would hate for us to do that, because I think that we can set up and we can stifle this Liverpool team. And I think there is something to be got out of this game, and it's not just false, I suppose, elation after that last game. I just think that where Liverpool are at the moment, the fact that we're playing them on a Saturday and then they have a quick turnaround to go on the Wednesday again against Real Madrid next week, I think Liverpool are going to change up their team. I think we're going to see changes. I think we could see 3, 4, or 5 changes in that Liverpool team, and that they're going to rest players for the return leg in Anfield, because they will think that that away goal is worth goal to them. They will believe they can go and beat Real Madrid 2-0 in Anfield.
I believe so. I like, realistically, they still have a chance. There's people talking them up of being on an upward trajectory. They've lost 6 games in a row at home. Yeah. No Liverpool side does that, really. So is winning a couple of games just because those around you are losing them, does that mean you're on an upward trajectory? Not for me. I still think they're a good bit behind where they are. I think winning, besides all the accolades of winning a Champions League, it could be their best option of Champions League football next season if the results don't go their way. So they have to put... I don't think there'll be as many as 5 changes. I'll put it that way. They have to put everything into everything, at this stage. They've got 7, 8, 9 cup finals, between now and the end of the season, depending on how many many Champions League games are included in there. Not completely out of our grasp either. What are they, 5 points ahead of us? It's, when you look at the comparison, we've been on a really poor run. They've been on a really poor run. We've come out of it at the weekend, as have they. Still going into Anfield at the weekend with those 6 results ringing in their ear. That will be the one thought in their mind going out on that pitch, because they will not want that record to be broken any further. And we're equipped to do it. It just depends now how we set out to stop them playing ball, and who we can deploy to stop them playing ball. And that is a head scratching decision for me, and I'm glad I don't have to make it.
Yeah, fair cop on everything that you said there. Absolutely. I still think that we will see changes. I think this is a game made for someone like James Milner and their point and their part. And we have been speaking an awful lot about Liverpool here, because genuinely, if we were to talk about the Aston Villa team selection, we would have been finished. We're talking 11 minutes and 17 seconds. We would have been finished about 9 minutes ago. And it would have been the shortest podcast in history, because I just don't think that we'll see sweeping changes at all from Aston Villa. So with regards to the Liverpool team, I think we see James Milner come in. I think he might take Trent Alexander-Arnold out of the firing line. Being
I'd agree with you there. There's a couple there that you could take, like Shaqiri could come in, Firmino could come in for Jota to rest him for Wednesday. There's a lot they can do.
Thiago is definitely going to play against us, I think, and he's going to rack up his 478 passes, I think. But
who? Jota?
Thiago.
Thiago. Yeah. Other than that, do they play the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain? Do they trust these kind of players to go and get a result against us? I'm not so sure. I think it will be as strong as possible with a couple of rested players there that the people you would expect to play may be rested. But I totally agree with you with the likes of Milner, and then I'm thrown into that Shaqiri and Firmino, who we will see someone rested in the front line that was there last night. Jota looked tired. Might be too much
as well. So.
Yeah, might be too much of an ask to ask him to do it again at the weekend, and then have to do it again when it really matters next week. Like, they can afford to lose to us and still have a good run at getting Champions League football through the league, but they can't afford to win. They can't afford to lose next Wednesday. That's their bread and butter now at this stage.
Klopp is going to go for Klopp will go for the cup more so. Like, he will go for the silverware more so than he will for the league position. I think he thinks 8 games, 2 points off fourth, or 3 points off fourth place. I think he's still confident enough that even if he loses at the weekend, he may be able to make something happen there. But listen, look, there's a huge prize for them. Real Madrid and Anfield, one of those famous European nights in Anfield. We've heard that so many times. And, they get a chance to recreate that, albeit without fans there, to keep the magic of a Liverpool European, because it's big bucks for them, the Champions League for Liverpool,
Of course,
They're they're one of the aristocrats, probably, if you talk about themselves, AC Milan. Real Madrid, they're probably they are the aristocrats for me anyway of the Champions League. And when you talk about those great nights, they have the winners of Chelsea and Porto. They're going to fancy that to get into the Champions League final. And as you know, with Liverpool, without steering away from cliches as well, literally anything can happen in a Champions League final when Liverpool play there, because you've seen the ridiculous from Karius in 2018. You've seen the sublime from Trent Alexander-Arnold, who with that corner kick to Origi, and never mind the miracle in Istanbul. So it's big business for Liverpool to get into the Champions League final from a financial standpoint. Number one, it's big business for anybody to get in there. But I think for Liverpool, it means a bit more because they are seen as these European kingpins, and it's their competition, essentially, when you talk about English football teams. So for me, I think Klopp will know that. I think Klopp will understand that he's got a huge chance of he'll relish the challenge of winning the Champions League. Obviously, what manager wouldn't? But he'll relish the challenge of doing that and getting into the Champions League that way. Where he still has a couple of bullets in the holster then with the league as well, because they've still got 8 games left. I think they go out and if both teams go out the weekend, serve up a 1-1 draw, I think they'll both look each other in the eye in the dressing room, in the tunnel and the way down the tunnel afterwards, and go, you know what, that ain't the worst thing that could have happened to both of us here.
No, it ends what has been a miserable time for them. Like, it's crazy to say, they play us there at the weekend, obviously, and then they've Real Madrid. But take out of the run in that they have, take out that they've got to play Man U at Old Trafford. They're away to Leeds, home to Newcastle, home to Southampton, away to West Brom, away to Burnley, and a home to Palace. They must be odds on to qualify for the Champions League. So we're probably sandwiched in there in the best possible place or time to play them, where their eye is just a little bit off the ball. And, if they are to go on and lose next Wednesday, I wouldn't like to be playing them the week after.
Well, if we want to talk about that, let's look at West Ham's fixtures. Let's look at the remaining fixtures, because West Ham are the occupants. Someone has to come and wrestle that away from West Ham. West Ham have Leicester, Newcastle, Chelsea, Burnley, Everton, Brighton, West Brom, and Southampton. A bit of a mixed bag there for West Ham, but literally West Ham have been unflappable this year. I'm right in saying, did I see this, that Thomas Souček is going to be out for a couple of weeks? Did I see that?
Really?
Or I could be wrong. There was a lot of April Fools going around. I'm terrified of reporting any news after April the 1st, because I genuinely, that could have been an April Fool's. So I'm going to roll back on the Thomas Souček stuff there, because I can't say for definite. And when I was only looking at it fleetingly, flicking through Twitter and stuff like that sticks in the back of my brain. But it's going to be an interesting run-in the Premier League for them. But looking at us, looking at what we can do, if we beat Liverpool this weekend, we're level on points with Everton, level on points, level on games played with Everton after this week, provided Everton don't win as well, and then we have to play Everton twice. That's going to be a humdinger, to get up there.
And
because
having watched Everton play Palace at the weekend, there doesn't seem to be anything to worry us there either. There's no reason why we couldn't go and beat Everton twice, because they were abysmal.
I can't wait to talk about Everton. I can't wait to talk about Everton, because they're such an enigma. But let's just stay. I think I know I brought it up, but I'm going to bring us back on topic again, because it brings back to the right side of what is it, Kirby Park? There at the other side of the tracks, whatever it is. Yeah. So I suppose really for us, a win. A win puts us in pretty decent position for 6th place, getting up there towards it. But as I say, I think really resting on we can't rest on our laurels for a win against Fulham, a team we should have beaten. Let's move on to the Villa side of things. We should have beaten Fulham. We shouldn't have left it to the last 13 minutes to go away and butcher what would have been a famous victory for Fulham, and a victory that took them out of the bottom 3. We should have gone and won that game handsomely, and we didn't. And it took I'm going to say kind of white line fever, isn't that what they call it? The finishing line fever from Fulham, to kind of give us the impetus to move on. Once we got the first goal, the writing was on the wall, I think, for us to come back and to win the game. To win a 3-0 really flattered us, but we'll take it any day of the week, especially with goal difference. Looking at our goal difference, when we looking at the run-in, it's very good in comparison to like Everton, Arsenal, Leeds, and then everybody else underneath that is heavily in the minus. So, concentrating on the Villa side that we may see put out, are we just going to blanketly say it's going to be the same starting 11, maybe with Trezeguet probably in for El Ghazi, because I don't think we're going to see Jack Grealish?
I don't think so either. I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that we're not seeing any training ground photos or videos, and we're now Wednesday evening, so there might be a reason for that. We've seen Jack in the gym, You sent it to me earlier. Actually, he was on a bike, was he?
Well, he was on
appeared to
his
be on
way
a
to
bike.
Ollie. Yeah, he was on his way to Ollie Stevens, and he had the bike emoji and the strong arm emoji, and that to me signals that that's rehab work with Ollie Stevenson. But as you said,
Well,
it could have been that
yeah,
he was
there's
breaking his
two
balls,
ways of looking at it.
extra work.
It's either rehab or it's extra work, yeah, and that's what we can cross our fingers and toes for Saturday. But look, I've kind of written off that he won't be playing. As much as I'd love to see him back, for we've two huge challenges ahead of us, with Man City following closely after on next Wednesday. So, look, it's not going to be easy no matter what happens, no matter what team Liverpool put out. But it would be a whole lot easier if we had Jack, and we knew we were going to have Jack. But I just can't see it.
No, I'm once again, when we do our team sheet tantrum on Saturday, which we will be doing as well, guys. So subscribe to us on YouTube if you don't already subscribe. That's going to be a YouTube only event. That's going to be a live event on YouTube, and we will be coming about 10 to 2 as the team, just before the team sheet is announced, and we will break it down and see what happens with Dean Smith's team selection and with Jurgen Klopp's team selection as well. It's a shorter live show for maybe about 20-25 minutes, but thoroughly enjoyed doing it last week, and we will definitely do it again this week again. I'm really looking forward to it this week, because last week I hadn't heard about any of the Twitter rumors that Jack wasn't going to be there. So I'm hoping that what I will do again this Saturday, because I'm going to be forced to paint a fence again, should it be nice and sunny, is I won't be on Twitter at all, and I'll have some good news this time as opposed to some jaw-dropping news that Jack was out again, considering I built myself up for it. So we're going to see. And I would advise you guys, if you aren't already following us on YouTube, that's going to be a YouTube-only event, to pop into YouTube and to subscribe and to hit the bell so that you'll be notified of the actual live event. It was a bit of crack. We read out all your comments. Any comments that you leave, we read them out. You can get involved in the discussion as well. We want to know what you guys feel like. We want to be here for the tantrum that we will have, and we want you to share your tantrum should you be having one with us as well, because that's what it's all for. But yeah, as I say, if Jack Grealish is here, it'll be a massive shot in the arm. I think the club was a bit deflated. It sucked the air out of the room when Jack wasn't announced last weekend. Imagine how much of a buoyancy it would be for the club if he was suddenly out of the blue announced on Saturday as a contributor and as a starter, even if he was on the bench. That would be I think that there would be it'd add a little bit of, I don't know, a bit of spunk to the occasion, if you'd excuse the word, but it kind of would, perk everybody up a small bit, and maybe that's what you need against the champions.
I think all our players will be perked up, and plus the Liverpool players will be looking over their shoulder every time it looks like there was a bit of movement on the bench. So I think realistically that's the best we can hope for, is we might see him on the bench. We might see him getting on for the last half an hour if needed. We could be 3-0 up by then. We'll see. I'm laughing here because I never feel overly confident against the likes of Liverpool. I think I just retreat into myself and feel a bit negative in advance, because it helps me not to feel as bad afterwards if we do, hopefully not, but if we do lose.
I'm the same as you. I still have PTSD from Tuesday nights of listening to 5 Live before. A lot of games were shown on TV, and we certainly couldn't get them here in Ireland. So you'd huddle around 5 Live, and the reception on the radio would be so bad that the electric fence, because we lived very rurally, you'd hear the clicking of the electric fence because it would interfere in it. Like this may sound like wartime stuff, but this is like the late 90s in Ireland. So we've come a long way. I'm flipping streaming on the internet now, whereas 20 years ago, less than 20 years ago, or just 22, 23 years ago, I was huddled around a medium wave radio listening to Live 95, and sometimes my dad would sometimes I'd ask my dad to go up into the attic to unplug the electric fence, and we were at the risk of cows breaking into the house. That's the way it was at the time. But it was so, and only a couple of years later, here we are streaming on the internet. God,
streaming on the internet, yeah.
the world turns, doesn't it? The world really does turn. But no, the PTSD I had from that was not just the electric fence, but it was Robbie Fowler. Like literally, all you had to do was mention Robbie Fowler's name in Villa Park, and a 1 would come up in the visitor score. Like there could be no one in the stadium, no match on. You'd mention Robbie Fowler, and next thing the scoreboard would automatically just change. Because that's all he did was score goals against us. So I used to have a bit of PTSD from that, and then having to go into school the next day and face the music with all the Liverpool fans. But so I'm not very confident in this game. I wasn't confident when we were 5-2 up with however many minutes to go in the last game, in the last time we played Liverpool. So
and that is the PTSD taking over, because you do
hugely
illogically think we can never sustain this. Even at 7-2, I was like, blow the bloody whistle, ref, because anything can still happen.
five penalties in 5 minutes, kind of a job. So that's what I was expecting.
But you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Couple of interesting pieces there as well. That like Liverpool have scored 51 goals this season. Salah scored 18 of those 51 goals. So, like, you keep him quiet and you stop him from scoring. And that's what I'm trying to do in the maths here in my head. That's why I'm speaking so slowly, because I'm trying to compute here to see what type of percentage that is, and I'm actually going to fail. I think it's about 38 to 40%, somewhere in around there, which is a big percentage of the team's goals. So keeping him quiet. I'd love to see Diego Jota's rates as well. It's not here, but saying that, for Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins has scored 11 of our 42 as well. So, but then again, teams have kept Watkins quiet, and we've still gone on to win because we're a 1-0 winning team or a 2-0 winning team or something like that. So when we win, we score and we defend resolutely in the main. So really interesting. It's going to be an interesting game, I think, this weekend. I think Ollie Watkins can have joy against Kablak and whether it's Ben Davis, which some people on the internet are saying might start because he might give Nat Phillips a break, or if it is Nat Phillips in there. I think they're grand defenders, but they're not Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez and Joel Matip, and they're not that caliber. So Ollie Watkins can get in around these guys. I think we can maybe get some joy from that, especially if they do play Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson. They're bombing forward. That's where we found the space against them last time, was in behind our fullbacks, especially Trent. He's suspect at tracking back. You saw it last night. He was at fault for at least one, if not two, if not three of the goals. So there is ways to get in around Liverpool. I'm not expecting us to go in and to beat them, but I'm damn hopeful that we will. And for me, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Ollie Watkins goal, and take your pick from the top three for Liverpool to score. But I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw, and I think both teams are going to be particularly happy with it. What do you think?
I'm not as optimistic as you, unfortunately, for this one. I just think they have too much more at stake, and even with a couple of changes, I think we'll score. I think we'll keep them quiet for up to the last maybe half an hour or so. But I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. A bit of reverse psychology there, I think.
If anybody was interested in being a co-host on the For the Love of Pomegranate podcast, please send your applications too.
You see, if I aim low, I won't be too disappointed afterwards.
You know what? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. But no, look,
I think if Liverpool play the way they did last night, I think we can get at them, and it can change. I don't see them playing
that way, though. That's
but
the thing.
I don't see them play as bad. Yeah.
But then again, I don't see us playing. I don't see us. I see us. Look, you have to kind of compartmentalize Aston Villa September to November, or September, I suppose, realistically to December, and then Aston Villa January to where we are now, January to March. You have to compartmentalize both of those teams. And I think now we're coming into the mentally tough side of the season. And what I'm getting at here is that I think we go back to being that resolute team. I think we go back to seeing Tyrone Mings being, he's I'm not going to say he was put on notice, but like it was a pretty high profile blunder that he made that he absolutely owned up to. And you know what? Fair play to him. He's played a blinder on social media all week. Every time he makes a mistake, he plays a blinder. He comes out, puts his hand up, and it's not a glib kind of explanation he gives. It's a proper explanation, and I it immediately makes me feel that it's got his stamp on it, and it's not something that a PR person has written for him and put on his social media. So I think we're going to see more resolute Tyrone Mings.
Joe Hart's personal assistant,
no, or he didn't pocket tweet like Julian Lescott. But yeah, so like I think we see a resolute Tyrone Mings. We know what we're getting from Ezri Konsa. Our back four is back. Matty Cash has 90 minutes under his belt. And Target is there as well at left back, and obviously we've got the Colossus that is Emi Martinez. Come break us down. See what way we go. See how what way you go against us. But just remember, we can break at pace like we did against you the last time, and we were able to get in behind your fullbacks. So better leave one or two people at home. That's the way I would be. I would be kind of prefacing this if I was Dean Smith in the dressing room, because we aren't doing anything massively different to what we were doing at the start of the season, other than maybe the speed of our play and maybe positioning tweaks. So I'm expecting us to be mentally prepared for this game at the weekend. We may lose, but it's not going to be a 7-2.
I definitely agree with you there. I think we'll be totally tuned into this one. This is a huge game for us. This is a chance for those guys who are there to prove there wasn't flash in the pan beating Liverpool 7-2, even though we know it was. But it's completely out of sorts for us to score 7 and them concede 7. But from our point of view, we're looking at players now that are playing for their future. I think once you go north of our defensive 5, you've got players playing for their future. And even at that, I think we'll buy a centre half as well. So there's a lot of players will be looking over their shoulder in the last few games here now and be getting stuck in and putting their hand up to be there next year and putting their hand up to be starters again next year. So we're going to see now who sinks and who swims. It will be Trezeguet. I reckon he has to get his chance after last weekend.
He has to too,
And other than that, I can't see anything else other than a fighting performance. Will it be enough? I'm not so sure. But as long as they go out and they fight for 90 minutes, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'm there as well. I'm there. Paddy, we were doing so well when you were saying this at the start of the season, but this is a free hit. See, that's all we needed. We haven't said that in months, Paddy. Absolutely haven't said it in months.
Said we're not allowed.
I know, and you kept on saying it. We kept on winning. So that's why I'm bringing it back. Okay. It's a free hit of the weekend.
Free hit Saturday. Excellent.
Yeah, 3:00. So, that's fine. That means I'll be drunk by 6 if we win and be in bed by 9. Yeah, sounds like a great Saturday to me, to be honest.
Good night's sleep going into Sunday.
Great night's sleep. Exactly. Yeah, fantastic. So Paddy's going for a 2-1 loss. On the hopeful side of looking for a good 90-minute performance, I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Just because I think that Liverpool will have one eye on Anfield on the following Wednesday night. But look, we're open to be surprised, absolutely, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves after the 3-1 win against Fulham. A win for us really gives us a shot in the arm as we look towards potential European qualification, whether it's the Europa Conference or whatever. But a draw doesn't exactly do us any damage either, So this is going to be a good game at the weekend. I'm expecting a good game. I'm expecting doubt to be in the Liverpool dressing room, but I'm also expecting them to think they can turn us over and them to have a glint of revenge in their approach as well, because no matter what they do this season, they will always have to look at the highlights of the 7-2, and that would piss off any professional footballer. And it's like I was watching the preamble before the game last night, and the Liverpool and Real Madrid game, and Rio Ferdinand was talking about how teams have revenge games. That game last night was supposed to be a revenge game for Liverpool after the Champions League final, and they didn't come up to the occasion. I'm hoping, absolutely hoping and praying that they come into this with a revenge attitude and mindset, and they maybe don't reach the boiling point of that either. Fingers crossed. I'm expecting a completely different Liverpool performance the weekend. But look, as I said, we didn't expect to win 7-2 either. So anything can happen when with Villa, I suppose, really at the moment, anything can happen with them.
Yeah, for me, there's a fine line between a revenge game and going gung-ho. And you know what can happen when you go gung-ho. So let them go gung-ho and we'll hit them on the break. And that'll be good enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good enough for me.
Wouldn't it be nice to sit here on Sunday and say that we've done the double over Liverpool and Arsenal this season? And we'll all be very, very happy.
Any historians out there answers on a postcard, I would say it's never happened in the Premier League era. I'd probably say I wouldn't even go so far as to say it might have never happened.
Maybe on occasion where we won the league, maybe
back in the 50s or something like that. I don't know. Johnny Dixon back in those days. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, great stuff as always, Paddy. You can catch Paddy on @VillaPaddy. You can catch me on @LoveMcGrathPod. As I say, thank you so much to everybody for everything you do. We will be back on YouTube. Only on YouTube on Saturday for a live show. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell. You will be notified. We will throw it out all over social media. We'll be here about 1:45/10 for the breaking news of the team announcement. And we'll just talk about it. It's a bit of crack. We had some fun in it last week. So please feel free to join us. We would only be delighted to have you. But subscribe and hit the bell for a notification just in case you forget about it. Your phone will tell you and you've no excuse to miss it then. That's the good thing. That's the good thing about modern technology. Long gone are the days of medium wave radios with electric fences interfering. We've been through that today already. And all hail the ever conquering mobile phone. They will tell you when two Irish people are going to talk nonsense about a football team, all in the power of your phone. So don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell as well to be notified of that. But thanks very much, everybody, for everything you do. Numbers and the listens to the podcast are just so humbling. Like, it's just amazing to think that many people are listening into the podcast. I really appreciate everything you guys do. Stay safe. You know, you guys, I think, are in a position whereby you've got pubs opening up again this weekend or during the week this week. I think supremely envious of you, but stay safe in whatever you do. And as I say, we hope that we're going to turn over Liverpool again for the second time this season, but all is left to be seen. So we'll be back again on Saturday about 1:45/10, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
I did it again. I forgot my outro.